Hello, everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of our Trinity Tens for the week. Like I said, this week's topic is scaling versus growth, right? Or growth versus scaling. And I talked about on Tuesday how people tend to use the terms interchangeably. They use them as if they are the same thing. And growth and scaling are completely like two different things there. They're not antipodes, they're more so like brother and sister, right? They're like here, but they're different. So, on Tuesday's video, I began to speak about how growth is more of an external response to what you do internally, right? So growth is not necessarily intentional. It is your normal business function. It is your normal advertising, your normal promo videos, your normal live, your normal product release, right? It's nothing out of the ordinary beyond just doing business, right? So growth is the response to how you do business. Growth is the response to your competitive advantage. Growth is the response to your authenticity. Growth is the response to who and how you are as a company and the people who you may be fortunate enough to have work under you who have embodied your company's vision, who have embodied your why, who have embodied the ability to get customers and retain them even is a huge thing that we deal with. I say it in multiple videos where people have options. I mean, even though you shouldn't allow saturation to keep you from being within an industry or allow the number of people doing the same thing who may be in close proximity to you to deter you from doing the same thing, you have to remember people have options, but this will prompt you to be intentional about your customer service. It'll prompt you to be intentional about the quality of your products. It will prompt you to be intentional about your infrastructure so that the people who touch the product after you or in your absence since you've grown, they will have the same standard of care for your customers that you had when you first started. So you don't even have to worry about your customers wanting to go elsewhere, right? So that's another tidbit of why you should choose Frederick Newitt Trinity Professional Group, because we think on all these contingencies, we find ways to put everything in place for you and really give you a chance to kind of step away from your business. Sometimes you just need a break, y'all. Entrepreneurship is hard. It takes a toll on you in totality, like from your mental, physical, emotional, definitely financial. And once you start to recoup some of those financial investments that you've placed in your business, it's okay to go enjoy it a little bit, right? Like that's a milestone in of itself. Like check that off. Like, yes, I'm no longer breaking even. I'm profitable. Yes. So celebrate that, but you can't fully celebrate that unless you know your revenue and profit is going to be continuous or growing. And from it being either continuous or growing, you also want to be in a position to have a pot where you are basically financially backed to be intentional about an investment or be intentional about scaling. So this is where we're getting for these videos. Excuse me. So, as I spoke on Tuesday's video, when I spoke about growth being external, scaling is internal because you have to be in tune with your company. And here's the caveat. A lot of people want to scale, but scaling is something you don't do until you're about 3 years in. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. I know a lot of people don't want to fully embrace that thought, but you need about 3 solid years, and it's beyond the metrics. It is a sense of confidence that you get to know that it's going to repeat. Because if you just focus on metrics, your first year could be amazing. And you're going to take off and run with those first year metrics when you're new, you're fresh, you're popping, everybody's posting you. And then once you have to gain and retain those customers on your own without the post, without the free marketing, without the videos showing your product, without the videos reviewing your products, right? How do you go from there and sustain yourself if you're not already a good company? So you can't take that high, that fire from year one and just keep going thinking you're going to continue like that. Yes, you can use it for momentum. Let me throw that in there. You can use it for momentum, but that is not the true trajectory of your company if you cannot sustain it on your own. How can you keep people engaged when you are doing your own advertisements? How can you keep people engaged when you're running your own sales? How can you keep people engaged when you are providing your own coupon codes? How can you keep people engaged when you are releasing your product as yourself, or releasing a new product or a new line of products for yourself? How are you able to sustain on your own? That is what you need to be secure in. It's not always about the buzz and the hype, because as we know, within 5 seconds, everybody's over something, or everybody has their own rendition of the story or what went down, or why the products were good or why the products were bad, and then within the next moment you have plummeted into the abyss of cancellation. And we know how this society works. So until you can sustain yourself, you do not need to scale. Okay, until you're on like Jeff Bezos in 96 level, where you got the billies in the bank. I'm sure he had to learn to scale before that, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, once you have that security there, that profitability sitting there, that money there to really invest and scale on your strengths, you do not need to scale. And you guys, please do not scale within year one. I'm so serious about that. You haven't had enough time to review your metrics. And like I said, it's not all based on metrics, but you haven't had enough time to see how your infrastructure would change. You don't know if, let's say you had a warehouse and you did everything manually, if you break down and spend $80,000 on a machine to run the conveyor from the warehousing portion to your packaging portion. You don't know how all of these things are going to affect you. You need that time. Time and longevity is going to be on your side, especially when it comes to scale, because like I said, you're going to be building that confidence within yourself, but at the same time, you're going to be building and instilling that confidence within your customers to let them know you're not just some fly-by-night organic oil company, or you're not some fly-by-night organic makeup or whatever it is. So many people are popping up in a lot of these saturated areas, you guys, and you need to be able to have yourself stand out. You need to show that longevity. So within the first 3 years, let's say you are, growing and piling in the money. Year one was beautiful because, like I said, you knew you're buzzing and everybody's interested. Year two, you kind of falter a little bit, but you figure out where you faltered at. And then now you're at a place to ramp it back up and at least be the same as year one. Year three, you are at a place where you know what you did amazing in year one. You got all the buzz. Year two, you had a dip. You learned from that dip and what to do. Now year three, you're going to see how you can go through another dip, or if you face a dip at all. These 3 years are going to be the most beneficial to you, you guys. It's not about getting in business. It's about staying in business. Anybody can start a business. An LLC in Florida is like $125. There's no real barriers to entry. Your EIN is free. Your DUNS number is free. Your opening a bank account is like $50, but that's your money. You can get a debit card within a week and use it anyway. So there's so little barriers to entry. I mean, AI is free. You could probably get discounts and invoicing. The world is your oyster. So when it comes to scaling, you guys, give yourself 3 years minimum. I feel like I made the whole video about that, but the reason I'm saying that is because you need to know what it is you stand on. Like, where did my confidence come from? Is my confidence because the people are buzzing? Is my confidence because of the likes, the follows, the ads and things like that? If it's because of that, then I can't say I'm growing as a business. I can't say I am solidified as a business owner, or my products are truly top tier. My products could just be a buzz for right now, right? So if you seek to scale, and that is to be intentional about your insides, you need to first grow some insides, right? You need to grow infrastructure. You need to grow and see where you wasted that $80,000 on that machine in year two, when you could have waited until year three or year four, once you had the profit to support that investment, instead of making it another thing added on to overhead, right? So see, that's why it's so many caveats. There's so much minutia to business, and having someone like me on your team, you guys, really helps you think on contingencies. It helps you become realistic. Not saying there's anything with being optimistic, but those contingencies help poke holes in that optimism in a way to make sure that you're doing things on a business mindset and not on a fantasy mindset, right? So working with Trinity Professional Group is super beneficial. Excuse me. As always, you can find me on trinityprofessionalgroup.com. I do have a contact section where you can send me an email. Let me know what service you're interested in. We can kind of talk a bit about it, set up a little consultation call, and then we can get rolling from there. Again, the Conscious Leader is available. In order to get to these areas that I'm speaking of, you have to be a great leader. You need to be a great leader because you need the people to stay with you long term and invest in growing you with what they've learned and know they're vested in your company, right? All right, you guys, so make sure to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Facebook, Fredrina, Freddie the Trinity Pro. And I cannot wait to see you guys next week. I'm glad to be back, minus the nose. Have a great week, guys. Bye-bye.